It just makes it that much more. Oh, hold on. So no, these are hyena tracks that are coming here.
You can tell Eugene.
Lots of hyena tracks. Have a look also. Well, I'm also trying to have a look on top of the trees because there might be a leopard that is lying up in the thicket around here. Loads and loads of hyenas. You can also see a batelier. So there might just be a kill here at the same time. Pay attention to everything that might be going on around us. The secretary birds that we had out on Arathusa airstrip was very cool to see that. Got very, very close to them. I haven't been that close to a secretary bird before. But have a look in front of us. There are elephant tracks and elephant dung everywhere. As you zoomed in, you saw Mr. Ellie on the way, so that gave you a little bit of a hello, Mr. Ellie, and then the tracks and the dung of the elephant in front of us. So that's the story that we have at the moment. We might just come across another breeding herd of elephants this afternoon on our track for a leopard. Let's go around here and see what we might find. What we haven't found is another road that leads us back in that direction, which is always very, very difficult. So I think what happened, I walked into the block, and then there must have been a leopard. The leopard must have been sitting up on a termite mound, because as I came, all of a sudden there was just all this alarm calls from a bird, and that leopard must have made its way in a southerly direction. So as soon as we get the opportunity to drive left, we'll go in that direction. Because there is a huge elephant bull here, so I also want to be very careful in my search for an elephant or search for a leopard. So we are going into quite a thick area. There's some more tracks. It's all hyena tracks here. No one's driven this road, so it's the first ones to drive this road, so we don't know what might be happening. Arathusa this afternoon. Hyenas always also take us to interesting places, and it seems that we are also hot on a hyena trail here. Fascinating coming through Arathusa. This is the first time I've driven this area, Arathusa. Arathusa is also quite large. Cheetah Plains has got those nice big open areas, as you can see here. It's quite leafy here. You can see quite a lot of variable bush willows, as well as silver clustered leaves and pterocarpus, round leaf teas. Heidi, I'm following a male leopard tracks. But at the moment, as I said, Heidi, it seemed as if that leopard went off into the thicket there and went away from me when I saw it. Well, I didn't see it, I just heard it being seen by other animals. So we can't actually get there, which is quite sad. We're going to see if we can get to this next road and go around. So who knows what we might see. I think our best chance is probably to go back, but I'm also very, very curious to see where these hyena tracks are going. So you can tell the difference between a female and a male track purely because a female leopard track is quite a lot smaller than that of a male. Quite a bit smaller. So I think in this, what we should do is actually turn around. But I'm going to get to a position where we can turn around and we can go back and look in that other direction. Sheep, there are lots, but we'll definitely come back down this way. I'm still curious to come down here if we don't find the leopard a bit later, just to see where those hyena tracks are going. You can see those. Okay, so let's have a look. It's difficult to see in this light, but let's see if we can do it. There's a hyena track that's just over there.
Hard to see that.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult to see the hyena track. But the difference between the tracks is that, you know, let me go out and actually show you in the reel. That's the best way to do it. So, here we are. Here's our hyena track. Over there. Our hyena track is right here. And the best thing to do, if you can't see it that well,
Your marks up.
Mark up. Thank you. Okay, so the best thing here to tell that it's a hyena track is you can see that there's a slant over here, and that is the best way in which we can tell the difference between the different tracks out here. So that is the hyena track. I know it wasn't the best looking track to show you the difference between that of a hyena and a leopard. A leopard has the 3 lobes. So we'll go back and find you one of those, but let's just turn around for the time being and see if we can find this leopard. It's all very exciting. I love tracking leopard. We're also going to see if we can listen out for any alarm calls, because it might just be that the leopard is walking in this direction, so it might still be coming from here. I know that it was going that way, so we need to try get to that position. So have a look. It's also important to have a look in the trees, because it could be very well that the leopard has actually made a kill in those trees that we were at now, somewhere in those trees, and then when it spotted me walking through the thicket, it jumped down and ran away, and it will very likely come back to that spot and eat the carcass a bit later. So we should have a look on all the different trees to see if there might be a carcass hanging on one of the trees, and then we can sit by the tree and wait for that leopard to come back. It would be fascinating, because I wouldn't have seen one of these leopards before. I know Tingana comes into this area. Okay, we're going slowly through here. Let's have a look. Let's have a look through the bush thicket here while we drive past. I'll drive nice and slowly, just to hear and see. Switch off for a second. So why I'm switching off is just to see if I can hear any sounds, any alarm calls of a kudu, a nyala, a squirrel, a monkey, a vervet monkey. There might be alarm calling a predator. At the moment I can't hear anything. It's even worthwhile having a look in this direction to see if we can see anything. Oh, I got a big fright well, not a fright, I just got I became very aware when I was just standing by the termite mound. All of a sudden the alarm cord just went off. The crested francolin just flew past me. And I was like, there is a leopard in this area, so we are going to find this leopard. But we're going to do our very best, at least. Right. This is where we were earlier. This is pretty much the area where I saw the leopard for the first time. So we're going to get to the road that then will take us to the other side and have a look So we are not off-roading purely because we've got new rules now that we can't off-road, especially for elephants and buffaloes now, because it's, as we go into the dry season and the sand gets softer and obviously more drier, it's not so good for the land if we keep going off-road. It's also good not good for all the animals, so that's from what I understand of reading up. It's only been about a week that this rule has been put in place, but it's also, we can't go off-road for alarm calls or even tracks. We have to get out and have a look to see if we can find something. Because if you can imagine, if every car could just go off-road and look for something, then you know the damage, the bushfire would become more and more damaged. So it just makes the job a little bit harder, but actually that much more thrilling, if I'm honest, to go looking and seeing if you can find a leopard. It's very exciting. Having a look on these trees around us to see if we have any carcasses on them. Okay, so we're going to do one last tracking, a little bit of tracking myself and John Ray. We're going to turn right and go around here to see if we can pick up on any other tracks or any other alarm calls in the area. For the time being, let's go and see how James is doing, and we'll see you just now.
We're trying desperately, everybody, here to find a Burchell's cuckoo, which David has added to his bird list, but those of you who are keeping bird lists might not have it yet. It's an unusual bird in that it's very nasty, and it will eat just about anything other than obviously its own kind. And I'm going to show you a picture, but first I'm going to play the call for you, just because it's such a lovely call. Isn't that nice? It's such a cool call. That's so cool. So I'm just playing it into my microphone now. I'm hoping that he'll show his face, but I don't think he will. This is what he looks like. Davey, can you get this? That's what he looks like there. Is that any good to you?
Yes, that's sufficient.
And he's quite large. He's sort of the size of an enormous pigeon. But if you look carefully, let me just find another picture. He's got a toothed bill in much the same way as the shrikes do. He's not a cuckoo, you can see he's a cuckoo. And he's got a hooked bill like the shrikes so that he can use it as a tooth. Anyway, he's decided that he doesn't want to see us at all. Sorry about that. Yeah. I love this little area here because the soil is different colour. It's red. Means there's iron in the soil, and it always reminds me of the very fertile lands of KwaZulu-Natal, which is in this northeast, far eastern side of South Africa. Maybe there's another bird sitting over there. Try and double tap him. I'm pretty sure he's a Burchell starling. He is. Have you got Burchell starling, David?
I do now.
You do now?
Yeah.
Is that 4 for the day? Okay, we need another. We still need another 8. There we go. Burchell starling. Lovely colours in the sun. Alrighty, on we go. We're heading now to the far eastern side, to the Kruger boundary of Cheetah Plains. Don't know what's there. Haven't heard anything. So we'll see when we get there, I suppose. Totally different vegetation type here. There's definitely a very strange underlying vegetation. Now, I am struggling a little bit to hear the final control, but I can hear them sufficiently. Tim, I think your question is, do only leopards pull their do only leopards pull their kills into trees, or do cheetahs do it as well? No, cheetahs do not have the strength to do it. They don't have the claws and all the strength to be able to pull their kills up into trees. It's only leopards I'm aware of that do it. I've no doubt that sometime in history a lion has pulled a piece of meat up into a tree in order to keep it away from something. But they are very good climbers, not such good descenders, but they're very good climbers. But it's only leopards that do it by default in order to keep hyenas and lions away from their food. The reason hyenas don't do it is because they don't have to. They're very dominant predators and they live in groups. Same reason lions don't. They just don't feel the need. They're just not nearly as threatened. Cheetah, much too over-specialized to be able to have that kind of strength. Here is buffalo pan. I think that's what it's called. There are no buffalo in buffalo pan. Indeed, there is no water in buffalo pan either. But it is a very nice sort of juxtaposition of two geology types, and I think that's what's happened here. I think that's the reason that the soil type changes color down there. I think we're on a dolerite sill of some sort, some kind of gathering or change in the geology here, and that's why you get these big trees that come down in this very fertile soil. One of them, of course, being the leadwood, which is a magnificent combretum tree. This one's got flowers on it. Odd time of the year to be flowering, I would have said. It's actually quite interesting. Huh. Some impala up ahead going That's what they do, you see. This time of the year, Dad. And Jerry says that sounds a little bit like Samuel's lion impression. I believe Samuel's lion impression was the funniest thing since the Blackadder series came out in 1983. I'm sad I didn't see it. There's a wildebeest. Look at that, David. All on his own. This might be Brent's friend, Gnorman the Gnu. Could it be that we have found Gnorman? I do so enjoy the fact that with this camera we can stop so far away from animals, which means that they just don't react to us, which is fantastic. This guy is looking at us, obviously. They do have rather gormless looking faces. I don't believe them to be genuinely gormless. He's just lying in a piece of shade, whiling away the Saturday afternoon. He's in tip-top condition, that wildebeest. He's shiny, his muscles are bulging, he's chewing his cud. He really is a magnificent specimen. It wouldn't surprise me at all to find that he was the dominant wildebeest of this area. Let's continue. So maybe try a slightly closer look at him. I think we can go this way. He really is. He's a spectacular wildebeest. Alrighty. Geraldine, is Twitter working or is it not working? I just need to update myself and I suppose the viewers. It is working, but not very well. I see, it's not updating as regularly as it might. So if your questions are not getting through, that is why. It's not because Geraldine is ignoring you. She wouldn't dare do that. She's much too nice, aren't you, Geraldine? No response. Oh, Judy H., what a very nice question from you. And no, we are not. That's 3 no's in a row. You want to know if we're in the vicinity of the hosepipe tree? No, we aren't. That's right. I know exactly where that is. The hosepipe tree, everybody, is a very strange arrangement that they have here, where there is a hosepipe cable tied to a tree. Sometimes it's on, throwing water up into the sky, and then obviously, as the old saying goes, what goes up must come down. It falls down onto the ground, and nobody really knows why this is the case. I've yet to find out, but no, we're nowhere near there, Judy. Would you like to see the hosepipe tree? It's not such a fantastic tree other than the fact that it has a hosepipe cable tied to it. Very odd. Right, we're now on the Kruger National Park boundary, everybody. Let's see if we can find Incarnieni, the shiny one. The leopardess that we would hopefully see. I've never seen her before, you see. So I come driving down this cut line every day, hoping to have the experience that Sam and Viam had the other day when the leopard came wandering straight out towards them. I think she spends a lot of her time in the Kruger Park and a lot of it here as well. And some of it on Nkoro, which is just to the north of us. There's another bird in here, David. You see it? It's just in here and thinks we can't see it. It's a grey go-away bird. Do you see it at all? You've got grey go-away bird on your list?
I do.
Oh, let's go back a bit. I love the way the sun shines through the pods of this red bush willow.
There we are.
You got him. I know you've all seen a grey go-away bird, but well, they're still quite nice. They really are slightly the poor member of the family, though. The other turacos belonging to the family of the grey go-away bird are all bright, brilliant colours. Very nice. Well done, David. It's very, very artistic. Aaron, you're in New Zealand, and while David is artistically painting your screen with various colours of gold and red, my favourite bird call, Aaron, is the Cape Robin. I'm going to play it for you. So attractive is it that I'm going to play it for you. Cape Robin chat, where are you? There, first one. Here we go, everybody. Ah. So they do a lot of mimicry of other birds, and that's the kind of normal call. And Aaron, I just remember it from my city-dwelling days, and that was the bird that kept me sort of semi-sane by attaching me in some way to the wild. David, that's spectacular. I can actually see the sun moving. Can you see it actually moving? That is amazing. Oh, that's stunning. It looks like molten gold. Oh. Of course, I've now stupidly turned my head to actually look at the sun, and now I'm seeing stars and big holes and everything else I try and look at. I think that's unbelievable. It's always a good idea just to stop and listen, like Sam was doing. He knows if there's going to be an alarm, or you don't know if there's going to be an alarm call or something like that. That is not an alarm call, that is just the grey go-away bird saying, why don't you get on with it and see what else you can find. So I think on the advice of the grey go-away bird, we'll press on from here and see what else we can get. David, I know that you want to sit here and watch that, but you know. Some of you seem to be voting to go and look at the hosepipe tree. Well, the one great advantage of the hosepipe tree, everyone, is that it is immobile, and I therefore may be able to find it. We'll do that. Let's just go down the eastern boundary of the Kruger first, if you don't mind. Here is another magnificent specimen of Ganuship. I'll get him with the sun behind him. What's this, Dave? Such is my artistry. Ah, there we go. Hey? Yeah, I do what I can. Might have to picular him, and then we will definitely head. Then we will definitely go towards the hosepipe tree, the greatest attraction on Cheetah Plains. I'm being totally facetious. There are hundreds of great attractions on Cheetah Plains. The hosepipe tree I wouldn't have thought was one of them, but clearly I was wrong. Stunning. Unfortunately, a picular doesn't seem to work here because the zoom is too much. So I'll just have to disappoint my mother and take the sun only. Sorry, Ma. Now, of course, I'm going to see my mother on Tuesday, and I'm going to subject her to a very heavy slideshow weighted towards endless pictures of the sun. Right, on we go. Stunning view out over the clouds of the west there. They look almost like summer cumulonimbus, or thunderheads as you call them, I think, in North America. Alright, Samuel Samwise Gamgee has been tracking on Arathusa. Let's go across to him and get an update, and I will see if I can find the hosepipe tree.
So, welcome back everyone. Let me just switch this radio. I've been trying to tell people that I found tracks, and I'm just going to explain to you very quickly with my notebook what just happened while we were tracking a leopard out here. It could have very well been the Anderson male. Me and Jandre were hoping. Let's have a look at Arathusa for 1 second. Okay, so here's the airstrip. This is where we were. We came down the airstrip. That's exactly where we saw the secretary birds, just there. And then we followed this road here. We came across tracks of a male leopard heading in a westerly direction down this road. At the time, we weren't sure if this was part of Arathusa's property and what was what's property, so we went and checked it out on the map, and then I found the tracks heading off that road down into a southerly direction away from us. So obviously I couldn't follow up on tracks in the south there, so we had to leave tracking that wonderful leopard. So it would have been awesome to have seen that beautiful leopard, but it seems that it's moved off into the neighboring property. So where we are now though, is we're probably around over here. So me and John are on a huge adventure, as well as Elvis the Heli, of course, and we are going to head in this direction to one of my favorite areas, which is this beautiful, beautiful drainage line. And so we're going to have a little explore there to see if we can find anything else this afternoon. The sun is setting on Arathusa. I just thought you should have a look at that through the trees. I always love looking at sunsets through the trees. Isn't that beautiful? Have a look at that. So there goes the sun on another wonderful day on the bushveld. So that's what the sun looks like with Jandre and Sam from Cape Town, or Cape Town crew. So that's not a spider web there, it's actually twigs and branches that are in there, and it's the sun. So that's what's so incredible about photography and filming. I'm sure Jandre would agree, is that you can get two shots where you have like a picture of grass that is capturing that sunlight and then looking at the sun in the background. It just makes the shot look that much more spectacular. So awesome filming from Jandre. Let's get the Cape Town team on the road, going out there. We're not going to go too quickly, as I said. If you go quickly, you miss out on all the beautiful wilderness that's going on around you. People from Joburg like to drive quite quickly. Jokes, that's obviously a massive generalization, but of course James and I have that banter, and he's lived in Cape Town for quite a few years of his life, so quite fun. It's really quite funny. He obviously doesn't mean any harm of it. He's just having a good joke with us. It's nice to have some banter out here in the bush. It's quite fun, you know. It just makes the job that much more fun. There's a really cool drainage line just to the left here. Open areas, and I can imagine some elephants like to come and eat us. So let's go a little bit closer, see maybe what we can find. Potentially we might find some tracks or something going down into that drainage line. Well, I was excited when I went into that thicket there just before our cut line and heard that leopard, or heard all those alarm calls going. Quite crazy. So that leopard was very close to me. I tell you, very close. I almost felt like it was in the tree above me when it jumped down. So I came here before with Dave when I went exploring Arathusa for the first time. And now we're coming back, and I just don't remember this drainage line. Actually, I do. This is another property down. Hello. Oof, have a look down here. Doesn't that look special? So if you look to the right of us, down here, you can often find a rhino hiding or an elephant sleeping. So you always have to be careful. So I'm reading the communications from Geraldine, probably 1 out of 5. I'll tell you what I got out of that. It was something like 2 secretary birds have longer feathers down their body, down all the way towards their legs. But we're too far away out of reception. I'm really sorry, I'll try and answer that maybe tomorrow when I'm on drive. We're just too far away and the comms has just got a little bit difficult here. But if you are still here, but Genre is very kindly offered to give us a line roll this afternoon. I threw myself underneath the bus yesterday, and I think
you have to teach me first.
Genre is telling me that I need to teach him how to do a line roll. I think most of you will agree with me that my line roll yesterday was quite shocking. So I attempted to try and do it again, but I'm not even going to try and do it.
One more.
No, I can't do it. Sorry, Genre. I heard you doing it earlier, and it was really good. I just can't do it. It's so embarrassing. It's just so embarrassing. I can't do it. There we go. So that is Genre, the lion from back of the vehicle. Meow. Was that a meow?
Oh,
I've never heard of a lion go meow.
lions are kitty cats.
Well done, Genre. That was awesome. Eh?
Aww.
Did you see? I almost looked like I had a panic attack in the front there. No, because I really try to get it from the chest. I try to see if I can get that roar from the chest. I wonder how James's growling of the Impala went. That must have been hilarious. But I must give it to James. He's very good at impersonating all sorts of things, from putting on some sort of language. Very talented man. Definitely something I wasn't born in the talents of, but it's okay. Different talents.
Pretty good.
Okay, let's have a look. Let's have a look in this thicket, this drainage line. I want to see if I can find you another bird to put in your bird list. I know that we're trying to get to 222 this afternoon. Aaron, Dave, James, Richard, some of the other people that have got their bird lists going. So I hope you guys are watching. You might just come across a very interesting bird in a couple of seconds.
Sam?
Okay, so we're going to carry on through the thicket here and see what we might be able to find. Let's go and see how James is doing, and maybe he'll be doing some sort of strange noise. Who knows?
Yes, we're live. I have no communications with Geraldine at the moment, so I'm afraid we're going to have to pretty much guess what's going on, except that Dave can hear her. So if you have any questions, you'll have to relay them through him. We are on our way to the hose pipe tree. Fascinating as it's going to be. Mysterious hose pipe tree that I haven't seen anything since I saw you last. We did the boundary hoping to maybe bump into Inkanyeni, but alas, she was nowhere to be seen. Nasty, nasty lady. This is quite an interesting area too, because it's quite naturally clear. I think a lot of those clearings where we go, I think some of them have been mechanically cleared.
We've got a question for you, James.
Oh yes.
Your favourite tree?
My favourite tree? Well, my favourite tree, I think, is probably the low-felt milkberry tree, Manalcara mochisa, and that's because it looks like, well, it's sort of a fairy tale tree. It looks like all sorts of hobbits and, I suppose, gremlins and goblins and fanciful creatures live. Look everyone, I found it, the holy grail of trees. Here doth one come for healing, to sup on the waters of the hose pipe tree. This is quite the most bizarre thing I think I've ever seen. I am unable to explain its presence. Other than maybe it's an attempt to recreate some kind of natural pan, I don't know. It's maybe recreating rain, heavy rain from one point. But there it goes into this pan here. And I suspect it's grey water, so I'm not going to be giving it a taste. There we go, everyone. Told you I could find it. I feel I've achieved this afternoon, don't you, David?
Oh, yes.
Yes. Very nice. It is, oh, it's definitely grey water. Yeah, no, that water is not fresh. Woo! It'll be absolutely fine for animals to drink, but for us, it would result, I think, almost immediate amoebic dysentery. Nobody wants amoebic dysentery, Dave. No, not at all. Anyway, we'll next go past 3 in a row pan, see if there's anything going on there. That pan hasn't been pumped for a while, which I think is quite interesting, and I think that's why, when we've been past there a few times, there's been absolutely nothing going on. And I think as the dry season progresses, so they will start to pump that pan, and I think there's going to be an enormous amount of action. I think buffalo will be drawn in there, and therefore the lions will be drawn in there, and so we may have quite a lot of action going on at 3 in a row pan, which unsurprisingly is called 3 in a row pan because there are 3 pans in a row. Well done, Dave. Yes, absolutely. Sky is looking increasingly beautiful. Jerry is increasingly silent. Must be. I've got her now. She's back. She's back. Jerry, you're back. I can hear you. Quickly. If you have anything to say it fast. She's speaking? No, she's not. Good. Ooh, there's a little bird. 2 little birds flying at speed. Can't see them. Ollie, you're asking about cheetah cubs and whether they have a den in the same way that leopard cubs do. Ollie, they don't really, in so much as I don't think that they would ever be sort of stashed in a termite mound. Yes, it would probably be in if the cheetah can find a cave, then maybe in a cave, maybe in a termite mound if they could. But remember, cheetah are tremendously nervous of seeing any other kind of predator. Now, we know that termite mounds are a magnet for burrowing animals, badgers, porcupines, aardvark, obviously, not much of a threat to cheetah, warthogs, and warthogs, if they find a cheetah, will do some serious damage. So I don't think that they put them in termite mounds. They will find some kind of secluded piece of thick bush, maybe some kind of depression or cave if they can, but I think it's pretty difficult. But they do get mobile with the mother pretty soon, and they're colored, interestingly, like honey badgers. They've got a bright white mantle that goes all the way down the head and to the back, and that gives them, we think, the impression of honey badgers, which will make potential predators think twice about going for them. Not sure if I agree with that. I think it's probably got more to do with the fact that they're better hidden with that silver mantle on the top of their backs. They can hide in shortish grass and basically just go unnoticed, look like bits of grass sticking up. So I think that's probably more likely why they're colored the way they are. But like I say, I mean, we're watching Karula and we're watching her cubs, obviously not presently. Presently we're looking at dry mud, but we are watching the progress of those cubs quite carefully, and we'll be able to watch them from stage to stage in their lives. I've never been able to do that with a cheetah because they are almost ephemeral in their existence around here. So yes, sometimes you'll find a cheetah with her cubs, then they'll be gone for months at a time sometimes. And so you just don't really know about their habits in the same way that we do with the leopards. Which is sad because they are magnificent creatures. Oh, this is interesting. So Susan, yes, you make a very good point that female cheetah often have larger territories than the males. And isn't that different from leopards? It is different from leopards. I wouldn't say it's nearly as clearly defined though. So whereas we know that a leopard in this area, a male leopard will have sort of 3 to 5 females within his territory, and that's you can almost kind of call that a rule, if you like. With cheetah, it's probably not the same. Now the reason is that their territories are just much less fixed. I think you'll find that a female's home range / territory is probably fairly similar size to the male's. It may actually exceed the male's size depending on how much other predator pressure there is in the area. But yeah, that is quite an interesting one. But what you'll find is those males, different females will pass through their territory. So although they may not encompass a whole lot of different female territories, you will find that there will be a number of females that pop through from time to time. I think this particular area, while not being unnatural, is probably slightly unusual from many of the studies on cheetah would have been done in open areas in the East Africa where they are more common. And I think you'll find that territories here and territory sizes, etc., will differ so much because this habitat is not the kind of ideal nature that it is up in East Africa. I hope we get to spend more time with them. Well, I'm sure we will, but it is just fascinating. Gracie, aged 8, obviously. You say you don't understand that tree with the water in it. Gracie, I don't understand it either. I think it's one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen in my life. And you say, is it for the animals to swim in? No, I don't think so much swim, but maybe to give them a drink. And that area, I suppose, is quite good grass. You know, there's quite nice grass there. So maybe the water will attract animals in the dry season and they can have a drink in that area and still have something nice to eat. I don't know. I'll try and find out. It is very odd though. It's up to 24 inches of rain. I should just know that off bat, but I don't. I have to work it out every time. So up to 24 inches, I nearly had to do it again there. Up to 24 inches of rain in this area a year. That's not a lot of rain. And so all of these trees are able to cope with that. But locally you get different kind of isolated areas where the soil is different and where the rain might be slightly different. And absolutely there is a tree difference wherever there's a water difference, Bethany. Right, Samuel has found himself a scavenging bird. Let's go and have a look at that, and I will try and find, well, something other than vegetation to show you.
Ultra noise. How does it go? Straight from James to a vulture that is standing on a dead knobthorn tree here overlooking Elephant Plains. Looking over Elephant Plains, it is incredible to see a vulture in a dead knobthorn. It almost just gives it that scene, especially with the clouds that are in the background there. Incredible looking vulture. So it's a white backed vulture, and it's the most common vulture that I've seen here on Djuma, Arathusa and Cheetah Plains so far. We saw a lappet-faced, which is a much bigger beak than that of a white-backed vulture. So sometimes a vulture will give us an indication to what might be around this area. So potentially driving through here, there might be something that's been killed because they like to eat carcasses and old carrion. Carrion is old carcasses. So potentially there is something that might be happening here. But Chandra just asked me to do a vulture noise, and I've never heard of a vulture. How would a vulture make a noise?
I'm not sure.
I don't know a vulture noise. So, but what we do have here is a bird that gives us a whole bunch of sounds and calls, and we'll go and have a look at what the sound of a white-backed vulture sounds like through this book. It's incredible, actually. I don't know if you've been on a drive with me when I can do that. But we'll leave the vulture for now, just to get some space, and then we'll have a look and sit down and listen to the sound of the white-backed vulture. I heard it's National Astronomy Day. As it is, one of my favorite things to do is learn a little bit more about the stars. Every single evening I'm sitting under the stars when I can to learn a little bit more about Betelgeuse, Orion, all the different constellations of stars, as well as galaxies and how many galaxies are out there. I don't know how many fans we have out there that are in love with the stars, but I truly love them. And when we get some time, maybe we can do a little talk when Orion comes out a bit later. We don't have the camera that can get right up to the moon like we got last night. That was just one of the most beautiful pictures of that moon. And that moon will be out again tonight, showing itself, so it will be nice and bright this evening. So hopefully we can have a quick chat. So if there's anything in specific you'd like to know about National Astronomy Day, what is, I can just tell you about the ones that I love, from Scorpio to Orion to Alpha Centauri and Beta Centauri, and all those different cluster stars that we might find within them. Oh wow, well done, John has just spotted another vulture. Looks like it's in a nest there. So that is another vulture, so that's a white-backed vulture again. So that's the second one we've just seen. And you said it's in a nest, did you say? Let me have a look at my binoculars. Maybe there's a young vulture within that. A juvenile in there. Well spotted, Chandra. But yes, it is. It does look like it's in a nest there. Fascinating. I've never seen a juvenile white-backed vulture. Potentially, if we reverse a little bit, maybe we'll see another head poking out. Let me hear the sound of another bird. So let's just reverse a little bit. Not much. just going to reverse to a point where we can get another angle, and potentially that other angle might allow us to have another view of something else that might be in that nest there with that vulture. James Taylor asked a very good question around, once a vulture or a bird's eggs get eaten or broken, how easy is it for them to have another egg? It's fascinating. I'm sure it's very different with different birds in terms of when they can have a clutch of eggs. But I would say, and in my opinion, is that they are able to continuously have eggs in their cycle. So obviously they would have to go and have another cycle before they have another clutch of eggs. So that's how I understand it, is that they go through cycles where they can have it. So it's a fascinating question, and what I'll do is have a look in the book and learn a little bit more about eggs and see how they influence, how that works. Fascinating question. I'm going to write that down in my viewer's notes book right now. So there doesn't seem to be another vulture in that nest. Did you see one there, Rhonda? Okay, cool. Well, we've seen 2 white-backed vultures in the space of 5 minutes, so that's very cool. Oh, it's about, it looks like it's going to fly. Awesome, look at that. Great filming. There goes the white-backed vulture. Where is it off to? Did you see the professional work there by genre? I just said it's about a fly, it gets back into position, and we just watched that vulture fly into the distance in a very, you see how these cameramen really need to work and to get those camera shots that can really explain the story. So thank you, Genre, that was awesome.
Yes.
I think it was James Taylor that asked that question. It's so interesting to think. I've never really thought about how that works and how many clutches of eggs they can have in a cycle and what that cycle is. Is it a couple weeks, a couple months? So that's a little bit of natural ecology that I can sit down with this evening. We have very different, fascinating days out here in the bush when we're not here. Either sitting behind our desk doing some work, going for it. Like, we had quite an interesting run this afternoon. We went running, myself, Dave, Rebecca and James, and we came across a huge breeding herd of buffalo that were, as we stopped, all the buffalo stood up, looked at us, and they moved off. But then we had to make sure that we were clear of any of the older stragglers. So when you're in the bush and you see a big herd of buffalo, you can't just pay attention to the herd itself. You need to pay attention to what might be outside that herd, like the old dagger boys that are trying to keep up to the herd. Those are the buffaloes that we need to pay attention to because they're the most dangerous. We might not see them as we are looking at the herd. So we went and did we went around, we walked for another 500 meters and made sure that we came across a number of 5 or 6 dagger boys that were sitting in the bushes, and yeah, I just love it because it's really fascinating to be able to be in that conscious state, to be in that frame of mind where you really have to listen to your environment. You need to listen to the birds, the flowers, the tree, or everything that's going on in order to be present. So one time in my life I feel so present is when I'm walking through the bush, tracking a leopard, looking for an elephant, buffalo, wild dogs. So it's starting to get dark now. The stars are going to come out, so it's going to be great. Maybe we'll have a leopard that will walk into our shot later while we're looking at the stars. Who knows? Tom in Illinois would like to know, do I get plagued with ticks as I walk through the bush sometimes? You know, Tom, I do get them sometimes, not often. I once woke in the middle of the night. I woke up and I just felt my neck, and on my neck here was a tick that was sucking my blood, obviously. In my sleep, I pulled the tick off, switched on my lights, my lamp, and I looked at this tick and I was like, man.
We're just watching an unbelievable fight going on here that's about to become a fight of three, everybody. You can see the dust hanging in the air. These two impala are going at it hammer and tongs. Listen to that. Isn't that amazing? Oh, let me just try and sneak forward. I don't want to start the engine and disturb them. Come on, Rusty, you old rust bucket. They're just behind this bush. The dust is unbelievable. Can you see them, Dave? No. Oh. They're right here. You can see why so many of them have got black eyes, with the bruising on the front of their faces. Whoa. This is vicious. It's absolutely vicious. They've totally ignored us. You never get this close to impala like this. It's no wonder so many of them get taken out at this time of the year. They're totally unconcerned by us. Look at those sharp horns. You can see, much like with the incredible Nyala fight we saw the other day, those horns are like foils, like fences foils, darting, touching each other, making sure that the other one, because I mean they're trying to pierce each other, they're trying desperately to actually break the skin and perhaps stick their horns into their fellow sort of combatant. But the skill involved in avoiding and parrying the blows from each other is absolutely incredible. You can hear the other one kind of standing to the side. He's much more nervous of these two. The reaction speed to be able to parry those blows. One miss there, and it's a poked eye, or it's a cracked, well, not a cracked anything, it's a poked eye, or it's a pierced neck, a pierced jugular. Now one gave up there, you see that, gave up and then had to run for his life, because what would have happened if he didn't run like that, of course, he'd get a pair of horns stuck in his backside, and that could easily result in death, or in his side. That was really amazing. And just so great to see the dust exploding up as they fought. Brilliant stuff. Right, we're going to ease our way down the way here, and I don't know if you can see, but to the right-hand side here, there's a whole lot of dust hanging in the air. What a day it's been out in the wilderness, everyone. We're going down into the valley of the Mulwanini, I think this particular river is called, and if you lose signal, well, we'll pick you up the other side. Oh, I suppose we should put some lights on, Dave, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
Which is, after all, now night time, just about. Only 5:30 in the afternoon, but to us it's now evening. And by the time we get to kind of midwinter, which of course is in about a month's time, what will happen is that it'll be dark by About sort of 20 past 5, it'll be pitch black. I just turned the lights off there because there's a car coming towards us. We don't want to blind them. It's just not very polite, is it, Dave? No. And now we will try and find some creatures of the evening. We will also, apparently it is National Astronomy Day, thank you, International Astronomy Day, thank you James Bear for that update. We will try and get to a point when it gets really dark and just show you some of the stars of the southern night sky again. I'm going to move out of the way for this fellow in his slightly less than Land Rover car. He doesn't really have the choice to get off the road for us. There we go. Come on then. That's it. Yes, lovely bright lights. Hello. I now can't see anything, anybody. All I can see is halogen lights from the front of that car. They seem deeply either distressed or amazed by the sight of Rusty and David and his camera on the back. Anyway, Cheetah, wherever they, and I hope they have a wonderful time. I'm sure they will. Looking for any.
So we are back. James is come out of Cheetah Plains. I'm still in Arathusa, having a good little drive through Arathusa at the moment. Still Jean-Ray, myself and Elvis, and we are looking for anything that we might be able to find this evening. I'm just going to finish off that conversation quickly around ticks. You know, the worst I've ever experienced ticks was when I was in the UK. I was tracking badgers and foxes last year around the UK, and I was coming home with what name of them? They're called pepper ticks. Yeah, they're called pepper ticks, and I was finding them all over my body every single day. I'd come back often. If anyone, I was studying at Schumacher College in the south, and I would go walking, and people had to pick ticks off me all the time. This was quite funny actually. You always got to check your whole body before you go to bed at night time, just to make sure that there's no ticks lurking everywhere. But let's National Astronomy Day today. I really thought I'd bring in, the relativeness of Earth as a living system. Something that I studied last year, which I found really, really interesting, is Gaia theory. So, what is Gaia, and what is Gaia's place amongst the stars? And Gaia was a Greek goddess, the mother of all, basically. She was the Earth mother of all, Gaia. And the Gaia hypothesis was coined by a person called Dr. James Lovelock, and suggested that the Earth was a living organism, that it is alive, and that it's self-regulating. So studied that, and how both the abiotic, which is the atmosphere and the rocks and everything that isn't live, is in relationship to that which is live, which is the biotic, the plants, people and animals. And it's fascinating when you start to realize and start to learn a little bit more about Gaia theory, that the Earth is actually a living system, and it's almost breathing in its own way, the Earth, and how the mountains, the carbon cycle is influencing our atmosphere. So everything from our volcanoes that contribute to the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere and create this kind of breathing planet. It's just a really, really interesting thing. There's something on the road there. Let's have a look. I think it could be a nightjar that's just on the road there. Let's have a look. You can see there's a nightjar on the road. beautiful. I think it could be, I'm not sure which nightjar it is. Let's see how much we can get to the nightjar. Oh, there he goes. He's out of here. Yeah, so just to finish off that conversation, what's so incredible about Earth is that we're living in a habitable zone. The chances for life are just it's just so incredible that we have life, because if you think about Mars, which I think is not far away from us, and all the other planets, they live in a zone where where hydrogen can't be made and you can't get water, and it's not habitable, and it's just incredible that our planet is able to be in this position, close enough to the sun, close enough, or to have a moon that allows for tides to change, to have that moon allows us, what the moon's contribution to this Earth that's incredible is gives us the stability of axis. So our axis of the Earth doesn't spin as much with the gravitational force of the moon just being there that brings out tides. So we often forget how much that moon is really influencing our life. I mean, we even know out here in the bush, there's that moon which is above us now, which you won't be able to see as well in this camera. But the moon is awesome. Ask James if he can have another look at the moon later this evening. But there it is with this camera, and the moon at the moment is, wow, you can still see the craters in this camera. That's awesome. So the moon is what we call waxing at the moment. So you get waning and waxing, and waning is when the moon is getting smaller, and waxing when the moon is getting bigger. And I like to learn about that through I use the same example every time when I go wax my bodyboard and my surfboard to put wax on it to then go surfing. That's how I remember how the moon is getting bigger, waxing, and waning is when it's getting smaller. And as I said last night, that if we were standing out there on that moon right now, it would be such a different environment. So you'd play baseball and the ball would go 6 times further than it would if we were playing here on Earth. So that's something that my professor once said to me that I'll never forget, is that the Earth's gravitational force is what he calls the Earth's Gaia's love for us staying here, otherwise we'd float away and drift off into space. So the Earth loves us so much that it doesn't make us fly and float off into space, which is quite nice. But I genuinely love talking about these subjects, and that was my passion in my studies last year and in my thesis, to learn more about how this wonderful planet works and how things are in an ecosystems, and how wolves influence a landscape, and how a leopard influences a landscape, and how all different animals, how the elephant has the ability to create space for many different animals. Oh, Gracie age 8 would like to know who Elvis the Ellie is. And don't worry about Gracie, we'll show you Elvis the Ellie. Here is Elvis the Ellie. As you can see, Elvis doesn't quite have a tusk. On that side there's a tusk. There he is. So Elvis the Ellie, this was my dad's elephant that he got from, I'm not sure he was. My dad was born and raised in Malawi, and he just has a very deep connection with the African bush. And so my dad gave me this, and it came with me to the bush, Gracie. And Elvis has been through the many interesting challenges that I've been placed upon over here in the bush, from learning how to track a leopard to spending time with great animals like elephants, and spending time under the moon, which is just above us. So Gracie, aged 8, thanks. I know that you love being on the show, and it's great to have you out here. And now that you know Elvis, it makes this experience even more cool, because he's the other member of this fellowship. Elvis, he follows us around the bush, and when we didn't know what we were doing around Arathusa, Elvis the Ellie, I would just be like, you know, we'd take the map out. Elvis, what do you think? Should we go right or left? And Elvis would be, I just felt like Elvis would be like, let's go right. And we've had many situations where we've bumped the coalition of Cheetah at Cheetah Plains, and seeing Inkanyeni and all that just by having some fun. So it was really, really cool. So I think we are now trying to get through to Djuma now. We're on Arathusa, so we're going to see if we can find something out here. I wonder how James is doing on the Cheetah Plains. Potentially he has found something. There doesn't seem to be anything lurking around here. We're going to head back up this access road because we are still in Arathusa, so I was just trying to get my bearings here. Jamal would like to know, Sam, have you ever hand-reared my own animal? Is that right, Jamal? Have I ever hand-reared my own animal? You know, Jamal, I've tried and helped to raise a little squirrel when I was a little boy. My twin brother and I, Thomas, and my sister JD, we tried to have a squirrel. We had it for about 2 years, and we hand reared it, and I suckled it. So I gave it a bottle that it suckled, and and yeah, we tried our best to get it up there. My sister really, really loved the squirrel, and so did we all. And then just one day, while I was watching TV when I was a young boy, yeah, I left the door open, and a dog came and killed the squirrel. So it was quite sad. It's the only pet animal from the wild that we tried to raise and bring back to the wilderness. It didn't end so well. My sister was so angry with me for leaving the door open. Jeepers, I'll never ever forget that. His name was Monty, and he was a great squirrel. He was a great squirrel. Ever since then, I've had a very keen interest on squirrels. I've always really loved squirrels. Don't know why. Actually, no, I know why. Because I had close, intimate relationships with them when I was a young boy. So we would like to see an owl tonight. I would love to see if I can find an owl to put on some of our viewers' lists. I know that we've got a few viewers out there, and we saw that big eagle owl the other night. Probably the same night we saw Inkanyeni. It was very, very cool. So I'm not sure who wanted to see the pearl-spotted owlet, but I'm going to see if I can do that. I can't hear them at the moment. Let's have a look in these trees. Jerry. Oh, Jerry Cheesecake Kent. I think that's our director. Cheesecake. Jerry Cheesecake Kent. Jerry makes really, really nice cheesecakes. So because she makes really nice cheesecakes, and so does Kirsty, and James is also there making the cheesecakes. So I guess, ooh, there's something on the road there. That's also another nightjar. Because such great cheesecakes get made, I think me and Jean-Ray deserve to find a pearl-spotted owlet. What do you think there, Mr. Jean-Ray? Yeah, he agrees. Jean-Ray, the lion roarer. So while I try and look for this owl, let's go and see how James Henry is doing on Djuma. Right, so we're heading towards quarantine clearings now so that we can do a few stars for International Astronomy Day. Remember, of course, this is not the same as International Astrology Day. That is something entirely different. This is the science
behind stars and the constellations, etc., as opposed to the, well, shall we just say the mythical attachment of various human qualities to the random positioning of celestial bodies. Sure what your bent is regarding whether or not it's a crock of nonsense or whether there's something to it. And I'm sure most of you were absolutely astounded, as were Dave and I, by that impala rutting sighting. It really was, incredible. And just, to me, I mean, quite apart from the violence, the dust, the noise, and the incredible skill, the closeness that they performed for us was amazing. You cannot get that close to an impala normally. They normally are, no, they won't let you get anywhere near that close to them. These guys don't give a damn. When they're thinking about nothing other than the ladies and their herds and fighting each other off, they think of nothing else. And it is no wonder that so many of them get absolutely mauled by the leopards and the wild dogs and the lions at this time of year. And I suspect the hyenas as well. Right, we're going across the Djuma Dam wall now. So look out for us in the Djuma Dam cam. We'll look like a spacecraft heading towards you. Ellen, North Dakota, nice question. It has not been covered at all. You want to know if the impala horns are known as racks in the same way that the antlers on a deer are called racks. No, they're not. As far as I know, I've never heard them referred to as racks in the same way that the deer antlers are called racks. And I suspect that's probably, I don't know. I mean, I wonder if there is a convention around it. I'm not sure. I've never heard them referred to in the same way. So it's possible, but I've not heard it myself. Every time I have to change gear, of course, I have to let go of the spotlight. I've no doubt Jamie Patterson, spotlighting Queen of Djuma, is able to do it all at once. Me, no, not so much. I am not great with the spotlight. I cannot tell a lie. See? That genuinely was not on purpose. We've got a little bit of darkness now. We should be able to see some nice stars. We don't have very long, so we'll drive a little bit faster. Ooh, very nice day. We went through a buffalo dung. Did you feel that?
Brilliant.
Oh, thoroughly satisfied. It's also nice and it sprays up next to you. I once did that, everybody, in our game drive car. I had 6 guests in the back. Drove through a big patty of dung, and I don't know what happened, but I don't know if the guy had his hand stuck out the side of the car or if it was just a very strangely shaped piece of dung, but it caught him square. I think it may have been actually on his face. He was an Italian, I seem to remember, and he was very, very unhappy. He didn't find it amusing. He didn't find it nearly as amusing as the tracker and I found it. We thought it was very funny indeed. He didn't laugh. He mumbled something in Latin, and we didn't speak again for the duration of his safari. Right, stop here we shall, David. Well, let's start on the moon, and then I think it's Jupiter just behind the moon. Are you able to get that, or can I angle you differently?
This should be
there we go. All right, National Astronomy Day. Of course, astro generally means star, if I'm not mistaken. That is not a star. That is the moon. You can actually see both halves of it there. And one of the most interesting things to me, of course, is that we only see one side of the moon. So the concept of the dark side of the moon is a very real one. That's the rabbit's head that you can see there. Oh, it looks exactly like a rabbit now, doesn't it? That's fantastic. Very cool. You can see all the craters Wow, that's just amazing. One day we're going to get a telescope out here that's able to look at these things in even greater detail. But that basically, the reason we only see one side of the moon, for those of you who don't know, is that the moon rotates at exactly the same speed that the Earth, it rotates at the same speed that the, I've lost my mind here. Not quite the same speed as the, right, okay, yes, I know exactly what it means. So for the moon to do one orbit, it takes 28 days. In the same way that it takes the Earth, I've got myself completely confused here. I'll work it out. But we only see one side of the moon. The dark side of the moon is the other side of the moon. Right, while I work that out, let's try and have a look at Jupiter.
Right, just nice and still, James.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm moving around a bit, everybody. As soon as the longer the lens is, there, the look at the moons. So cool. Very nice, David. I'm going to speak with my mouth almost shut, because when I move my mouth too much, the car moves and then your picture jumps. So we can see 3 moons. That's Jupiter, the largest planet in the solar system. Which is amazing. You can see 3 there. You can see 2 on the left. That movement you see is when I talk. You can see the movement of the camera. And then there is a third one just close by there. And Dave, if you fiddle the focus slightly, does it not change which bits of it we can see? No, doesn't. There, you just see the third one there coming up. All right, now, Dave, you can zoom out of that one before everyone gets totally seasick. And to me, the most obvious thing to look at, of course, in the summer night sky is that bright red star there, which is Betelgeuse, in the middle of Orion. So we're going to look at that one first, and then I'll show you the brightest star in the night sky, Canis Major. Canis Major is the constellation in which it fits. See how red it is? It's because all the helium's been burnt up by those massive nuclear fusion reactions. All the hydrogen, is all getting burned up. And then quickly, before we have to close the show, Dave, up there, right above us, the brightest pinprick you can see is Sirius the Dog Star. And Sirius the Dog Star, of course, is the eye of the dog, and the dog is following the hunter Orion faithfully across the sky. There we go. Very nice. Now you can see it's a totally different color. It's blue. It's bluish white, which means it's a much younger star than Betelgeuse. And so it's going to burn for many, many, many millions of years longer, well, probably, than Betelgeuse will. Betelgeuse will explode eventually, and then Orion will no longer have a left shoulder, and he shall be very sad. All right, everybody, it's been a wonderful day in the bush today. We've seen lions and no leopards, but cheetah and many other wonderful things. A wonderful mist that we had this morning. Thank you, David. A big thanks to Sam. He says goodbye to you all, as does Jean-Dre. A big thank you to Geraldine the Cheesecake and Rebecca in the final control, and mostly to all of you for your questions and comments. Wonderful to have you along for the drive today. We'll see you tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Bye-bye.